What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome back to another video. I hope everybody's doing well, and let's get straight into things. So as you can see, I have the Dixie weekly here. If you haven't watched the Sunday video, I would suggest you watch it, but I also wouldn't suggest you watch it because pretty much all of the PD arrays I outlined on that got disrespected as soon as we opened this week, which makes things quite difficult for us. But as you know, it's elections, and I didn't realize that we don't actually know the election results probably until, well, here in London, we probably won't know the election results probably until tomorrow morning when I wake up, because right now it's 11:50 p.m. So I can imagine when I wake up, elections will be done. And you can see it's still 6:50. So I'm guessing it's in the heat right now of the elections. I genuinely don't know how it all works, guys. But nonetheless, in my earlier video on Sunday, I was explaining how I wanted to see higher dollar. Now, don't get me wrong, this could all be manipulation, what we're seeing here. So this downwards trajectory we're seeing right here, this could be manipulation for the week, and we can still expand higher, especially on the back of interest rates. And remember, that is what I wanted to see. So for me to come in here and say, oh, I now want to be short for the week, it would be quite elementary of me, off the back of ICT concepts. The only thing that's making me doubt that it could continue higher is the fact that it's disrespecting bullish PD arrays. So although we expect a level of manipulation, because of how heavy down days we've had, it throws me off. It is throwing me off. But we got to remember, elections are playing a role in this, and interest rates can do a lot as well. So that's where we have to kind of balance the stone, so to speak. The only thing is, again, I wouldn't be trading in these conditions anyway, but nonetheless, we'll take a closer look. So this bullish order block right here, I'm not very happy that we've traded through that. As far as I'm concerned, that should have been able to hold price if we were going to remain bullish. And you can see how we've wicked below that, and you can see it looks like we're going to close inside of it as well. One thing that I am paying close attention to is this little consolidation over here on the daily. So you can see this is consolidation. Why is this consolidation? You can see we've gone up, down, up again, and down, all within the same range right here. So what we can do, and you know what, this is quite a large range. I'm just going to look at the volume of the range, because volume's where most of the work happens. I'm going to drag that right through. So this is a point of distribution on the downside, meaning that when price returns back to it on the this is a point of distribution on the south side of the curve. So when price returns to it on the buy side of the curve, we can expect reaccumulation at this point. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be paying close attention to this range, and more specifically the 50% level, because as far as I'm concerned, I'd like that to get respected. So moving into tomorrow, as in into Wednesday, I'm happy to see another down close day, or I'm happy to see dollar continue lower, but I'm looking for it to trade to the 50% level. And there you can see there's an imbalance there as well. Now there's an imbalance down here as well, but ideally we stay above that 50% level. And if we do stay above that 50% level, I do still think there's hope that we may still see we will see a reversal later on in the week and see price starts trade on higher. So let's just mark out this daily fair value gap. This is awfully specific, and again, very low probability, guys, but I always say this and I'm going to stop because I can imagine it's getting quite annoying. But hope that all makes sense. This is a point of distribution on the downside, meaning that it's reaccumulation on upside, and we're happy for price to return to it on its way up, assuming we're going to be running out these highs eventually, which is what I was speaking about at the beginning of the week. Now, it doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to take out these highs this week. We do obviously have the whole, it could do it next week, it could do it the week after. I don't really care. But in terms of as far as I'm concerned, this is my draw on liquidity. So any kind of reversal, we're looking for points of, like any kind of retracement like this, I'm seeing as a false retracement, and I'm looking for reaccumulation, generally speaking. If that 50% level gets disrespected, whole other story, and we'll have to start taking a closer look at price in general. Now, what is also throwing me off is the fact that on the 3-month, and if you've been watching my videos for the past few weeks, you'll know that I was talking about this bearish order block, and I was happy to see price turn at it. And you can see now we're starting to see that manifest itself, as in we traded into it again last week. Last week threw me off because of how we held price, but now it's looking very bearish. So it is still possible that we could be turning around at that 3-month PD array, which is completely fine as well. Nonetheless, I don't want to get too much into it. It really does just depend on how we treat this range right here that I was just talking about, the daily. Let's go to the 4-hour, take a closer look. You'll see there's some lows below here, so let's get those marked out as south side liquidity, and you can see how heavily bearish dollar is. So again, I'm happy for price to run on lower into that range, and I'm not really anticipating it to get any lower than that 50% level, as in there's a high probability that we may be able to find support and witness a reversal at that point. So with that taken into account, let's go to the 1 hour. Any kind of rallying in this range, I'm happy to look for. Well, I'm not happy to, but and I'm not saying trade it, guys. But my point is, I'm looking for that fair value gap to get reached. I'm not going to say any more than that. Let's go to the GBP USD, and you can see how bullish we are. Remember, I was drawing our attention to the sell side liquidity, but you can see price went totally against my bias, and I started to run on higher, which is completely fine as well. So let's jump to the weekly, take a closer look. Now, where could we be trading to? Well, we have a nice massive weekly fair value gap up here, and you can see we are extremely bullish, and we also have a breaker, high, low, higher, high. This is the last down close candle, so we're looking at the volume right here. This is a breaker. I'm happy for price to reach up into there. So same thing, I'm happy so long as dollar continues to fall. I'm looking to see, can pound start to reach and run out this high, this high, this high, and get up into this premium, where I'd then expect it to find a level of resistance. Now, this is my first time trading, well, being in the charts during election season, so I'm learning just as much as you guys are right now. But nonetheless, if that's our expectations, I want to see, can we rally into that buy side, and then I want to see if we can get some kind of pullback. But this is looking very classic in terms of delivery: low, high, lower, low. Last up close candle, we got a breaker there. Drag that out. As long as I'm concerned, moving into tomorrow, price shouldn't need to drop any lower than that. And if it doesn't, we should be able to look for setups potentially in the London session, and continue to see expansion and run ups into buy side liquidity. But easier said than done. And you know, let's go to the 1 hour. Yeah, this is craziness. But again, all this movement we're seeing right now, I'm guessing it's off the back of live news, you know. So again, I'm not very sure. I'm probably going to go take a look after this video. Do join the Discord, guys. I am active in there. Be interested to see if any of you are from the US. We can talk maybe. But yeah, I'm expecting continued rally, and I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if they rallied it right up until Thursday when we have interest rates, and then switched it and then pulled it back for the rest of the week. Like, that would be very classic in terms of manipulation and distribution. So let's now head on to Euro USD, and Euro's moving very strong as well. Same thing, Euro went totally against my bias, which is completely fine. Let's go to the weekly, where we push into. Again, we got a breaker, high, low, high, high. We're looking at that breaker. More specifically, I'm looking at this breaker low. Can we trade up into this level? That would be interesting. And we do have a fair value gap right here, but it looks like we're going to trade into that pretty quickly. Another thing to take note of is if we look at this range, we want to be above the 50% level right here. So even though there's a fair value gap here, we're looking for a premium if we're pushing into premium PDRAs, and that is this breaker right here. So that's more reason as to why I want to see more reason as to why I want to see continuation on Euro USD. So this is the weekly. Let's go to, we have a inversion fair value gap now that's formed. So now that we traded through this, price shouldn't need to drop back below this if we're going to continue bullishly so long as we get up to here. Let's go to the daily. Same thing, any kind of we traded through this gap as well. Yeah, we have two inversion fair value gaps. So even here, this now should technically, the fact that we closed above it, and yes, we wicked below it, but as far as I'm concerned, price should be able to find support inside of this. I don't want to see price drop below that if we are to remain bullish, which seems crazy because it's like, okay, why not just go long now? Because these are very, very high risk, low probability conditions, guys. That's why we don't just trade. But nonetheless, it'll be nice to see if price can reach up into there and feel this massive imbalance and take out that breaker. Also here we've got a low, high, lower, low, classic leverage to the upside. This range between this low and this high, I'll show you, between this low and between this high, this is a breaker range. And look at how price treats it. We trade through it 50%, trade through it. Where do we return? 50% level. Come back to the 50% level right here. Ooh. Go long. Wow, easier said than done. And then where we're expecting, we're running up to this imbalance. That's how I'm looking. That's how I look at price, guys. You know, so this is why I'm not expecting price to need to drop back below here. And this is just an inversion fair value gap on a daily level. So again, that means that on the 1 hour, 15 minute, this should be able to provide continued support. But yeah, I don't know when results are released. I don't know anything, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, it's looking like we're going to see some continued rallying. And then at that point, once we get into these premiums, if we do get into those premiums, then and only then would I be thinking, okay, is there going to be a reversal, a Thursday reversal, and is it going to be off the back of interest rate announcements? So that's going to be everything, guys. I hope that all makes sense. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like, drop a comment, smash subscribe, join the mailing list, join the Discord, and yeah, I'll likely catch you tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.